Hey guys, today's video is going to be my eyeshadow palette collection. I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, but now that my palette collection has grown a little bit, I decided now would be a good time to do this video. So I'm just going to randomly show you some palettes and give you my opinions on them, and this is in no specific order. So let's go ahead and get started. So I guess I'm just going to take my more affordable palettes and show those first, and I guess I will save the best for last, which would be the more high-end palettes. So the first palette that I have here is the Smoky palette from Coastal Scents, and it is 36 eyeshadows, and it looks like this. There is no mirror or anything, it's just plain simple eyeshadows. I'd say they're about nickel sized. And I just got this palette because my eyeshadow collection was lacking color, so I thought that this would be perfect. And I also love how it's kind of categorized by color and whatnot, so that comes in handy sometimes. So the next palette that I have is the 56 Shadow and Blush palette, which is also from Coastal Scents. This one does have a mirror, so I'm just going to flip it upside down so that I'm not blinding anybody. But basically on the top row, which is now the bottom, but on the top row it's got 6 blushes, and then the rest of them are shimmery eyeshadows, which I liked the colors, but when I had purchased it I didn't realize that they were all shimmery colors, so I don't really reach for this at all. But it is part of my collection. So the next palette that I have here is the 28 Neutral palette from Coastal Scents, and it looks like this. I had 2 of these and I just recently gave one to my sister, but I used this palette a lot when I first got it. The colors are just really easy to work with, and the pigmentation is just right. So that looks like that, and the colors are just really nice. Again, that's the 28 Neutral palette. So this next palette reminds me a little bit of the 28 Neutral palette from Coastal Scents, and this one is from Forever 21's Love and Beauty line. And these eyeshadows are just really soft and pigmented, and I just really like this one. I used to use it a lot, but then as I started to get more newer palettes, I just kind of threw this one aside. But it is a good palette. Next, I have 2 eyeshadow palettes that are from NYX. I have the Nude on Nude palette, and as you can see, I have hit pan on a few of these eyeshadows. This is a really great palette for if you're going for a neutral look, and it also has a little pull-out drawer with some lipstick pots in the bottom, which I've used those quite a bit as well. I'd say that this palette is really good for traveling if you're into the whole neutral look. It's got a variety of matte and shimmer shadows, which is really nice. So this is one of my favorite drugstore type palettes. This one is also from NYX, and it is the 10 color eyeshadow palette in Caviar and Bubbles, which is another really nice neutral palette, which I have hit pan on a couple of the eyeshadows. This one is also really great for travel, and this white eyeshadow is one of the whitest eyeshadows I have ever used. So yeah, again, this is the Caviar and Bubbles from NYX. So that's it for the more affordable eyeshadow palettes. Now I'm just going to go into the more high-end ones, and again, this is in no specific order. First, I have my Naked Basics palette. This is the first one. This palette is just another great neutral palette. I know that I have so many neutral palettes, but this one is great to just throw in your purse if you want to do touch-ups or whatever, and I love these lighter colors for like highlighting. Next, I have the Lorac Pro To Go palette, and again, it's great for travel and it's neutral. It's got 2 highlight colors that could be used on either your eyes or your cheeks. Then it's got these 4 eyeshadows, and then you flip it over and it's got a bronzer and 2 blushes, and I have gotten so much use out of this bronzer. It is one of my favorite bronzers. So altogether, that's what's in this palette. This has been one of my favorites. I, again, just stopped using it because I got more new ones and just kind of put it to the side, but it is really great. So followed by that, I have the Lorac Pro palette. It is dirty because of the finish of the packaging, but it's gonna happen regardless of what you do. So this is what the palette looks like. It's got the top row of matte shadows and the bottom of shimmer shadows. And I've hit pan on the cream, but this palette is really great. It's got so many options as far as colors and looks, so this is one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites is the Lorac Pro palette too. So I have the original one and the number 2. The second palette is more of a cool toned palette. Again, it's got the top row of matte shades and the bottom with shimmer. It's just got more bold, cool colors than the other one did. So here's a side-by-side comparison. Here is the first one and the second one. I love both of these palettes equally. So followed by those, I have my Naked 2 palette. And I've had kind of a love-hate relationship with this one. When I had first gotten it, I really loved it. And then I started to not like it so much after I used it a little bit. And now I kind of love it again, so I don't really understand why, but this is another one of those palettes where the pigmentation is just great and it's very neutral and really wearable. So now, since I've showed the Naked 2 palette, I'll go ahead and show the Naked 3. The Naked 3 is probably in my top 5 favorite eyeshadow palettes just because of the nice rosy colors. And again, it's got a variation of matte and shimmer shades. I've just really been into these rosy kind of colors lately. The Naked 3 is probably the most unique out of the 3 Naked palettes, so if you don't have this one already, I would recommend trying it out. So next, I will be showing my Smashbox Studio Pop palette. When you first open it up, it's got a large mirror. And then you open it up again, and it's got these shadows with a little piece of plastic that tells you the names of the eyeshadows. And there is just such a wide variety of shadows. They're glittery, shimmery, matte, all sorts of colors. And then on the other side, it's got some lip glosses, some eyeliners, and blush. This is probably one of the best palettes for traveling just because you have so many options and it's got a lot of the stuff that you would need. So next, I have the Cinderella Storylook palette and the Ariel Storylook palette. And I got in this one first. So it's basically just like a little pull-out book of shadows. The names of the shadows are all named after the movie. So they are really cute names. The shadows are so beautiful and unique. So for example, you've got Fairy Godmother, Royale, Pumpkin Coach, Midnight, just names that go along with the movie, and again, the colors are amazing. So the Ariel one I got, I think, for my birthday a few years back, and it's the same concept with the pull-out, and the names are of course named after the movie, and the colors are great. So for example, you have Your Voice, Caspian Sea, Triton, Treasures Untold. One of the first videos that I had ever done was doing a swatch and tutorial with this palette, so I will link that below if you're interested in seeing all the swatches and everything. And now we are finally finishing up here. These are my most recent purchases. Then also from Anastasia, I got the Maya Mia palette. I purchased this palette for these two red-brown colors because I was really into them and I hadn't owned anything like it. So I just purchased the palette. So my final and most recent purchase is the Tartelette palette, which I am wearing on my eyes right now. It's got a large mirror on the inside and all of the eyeshadows are matte. Honestly, I'm not really sure how I feel about this palette yet. The colors are great and everything, but I just feel like some of them are a little bit too similar. So that is my completed eyeshadow palette collection video. I hope that you guys found it helpful or interesting. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and I'll see you in the next video.